Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another exciting session of the Spatial Webinar Series. I'm Kamicia Blackwood, your host and moderator for today's discussion, and I'm thrilled to have you join us as we explore how Geographic Information Systems, GIS, are transforming the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. From conceptual planning to asset management, GIS technology is reshaping the way professionals approach design, construction, and infrastructure management. Today's session will highlight how GIS is enhancing collaboration, streamlining workflows, and driving smarter decision making throughout the project lifecycle. We have an insightful discussion lined up featuring two incredible experts in the field, Spatial's very own Holton Ferguson and Esri's Vinicius Fillier. Throughout this session, we'll dive into how GIS integrates with building information modeling for smarter planning and design, the role of location intelligence in optimizing construction workflows, real-world applications of GIS in infrastructure management, future trends shaping GIS and the AEC industry. Whether you're an architect, engineer, contractor, or project manager, this webinar is packed with actionable insights to help you leverage GIS for more efficient, cost-effective, and sustainable project outcomes. We encourage you to ask questions, share your thoughts in the chat, and engage with our speakers throughout the session. Let's make this an interactive and valuable experience for everyone. Without further ado, let's get started. I'll now hand over to Hopeton to take us deeper into today's topic.
Thank you, Kamicia, and good morning and welcome to everyone in webinar land. I love GIS. Do you love GIS? If you love GIS, then show us some emojis. Also, please place in the chat which country you are from. Yes, I can see Canada, the US of A, the Caribbean. So we have Jamaica, we have Trinidad, we have TCI. Wonderful. So did you know that GIS transformed the way we think and the way we plan and the way we design? Oh, yes. A matter of fact, GIS saves us billions of dollars from waste and reworks, budget overruns, and lack of production. The statistics that you're looking at shows 30% of material wasted on projects. Another 30% of construction is rework. 40% of buildings are underutilized. 40% of projects are over budget, and a whopping 90% of projects are late, and 40% of job site is unproductive. So how many of us want to be able to plan their project and able to execute based on plan, time, and cost? To be able to see and analyze BIM, which means building information models, in real time, see and query transportation plans in context. So at this time, my good friend Vinny from Esri is coming to us to tell us all about GIS in the AEC industries. For those just joining, AEC is the acronym for architecture, engineering, and construction. So Vinny will be talking about how we can transform our AEC projects, how GIS interconnects and integrates AEC solutions based on GIS. He will run some demos for us, look at workflow improvement, and then we have some questions and answers. So at this point, I invite my good friend Vinny to come to us, tell us all about GIS in AEC. Vinny.
Perfect, Hopeton. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure for me to be part of this webinar for Jamaica and the whole Caribbean region. I'm a solution engineer at Esri, and I'm responsible for the AEC market. And as Hopeton was outlining, we have a lot of problems going on in this industry, and it happens mainly because of the information loss. So generally, during a construction, we have multiple teams, multiple enterprises, multiple firms involved, as they tend to specialize in their own niche. So it's very hard, it's very rare for you to have a company doing it all. I mean, from planning, then going to data collection, and then analysis, design, construction, etc. And even if it was a huge company that does it all, it would be carried out by different departments. And it happened that every single department or every single company, they work with different systems, and every single system or software has a different file format or has a different configuration. So it's very hard for all of them to communicate with each other. So some studies even show that 30% of the time of an engineer is spent by on rechecking files and making sure that they are working with the most up-to-date information. And this process of information loss takes to those numbers that we have just seen. And we cannot keep on working that same way anymore, given the very complex scenario that we are living in. We have to build more and more resilient constructions, and we have taken into consideration all of the environmental impacts that we are causing. And one of the ways that most of the AEC firms have found is to transform their projects through the integration of GIS and BIM professionals. We have different backgrounds, different softwares involved, but in the end, it's all about the same area or the same project, because a bridge, for example, it's being built on somewhere, or a house, or a mall, or a port, or whatever. We cannot just disconsider all of the environmental, the economical, and the social impacts that are happening in that area. And it's very common for engineering projects or engineering firms to start their projects out of scratch on a blank on a blank screen on CAD, for example, and not taking into consideration all of the geographic aspects of that area. And on the other hand, for the GIS staff, it's very hard sometimes to work with those files and keep them up to date, as they are generally being managed in CAD or BIM files. And as the geographic space is where everything happens, it's crucial for us to have everything integrated and up to date, because as I have the most detailed information in the BIM, I have the overview, I have everything coming together on the GIS side. And for years and years and years, these both teams, they have been struggling in order to talk to each other. And that's one of the biggest trends that we have now, the integration of the two worlds, using GIS for architecture, engineering, construction, and the BIM and the GIS integration is one of the ways that can lead us to that. And I would say that ArcGIS is the perfect platform for us to do so, because through our platform, we are able to gather different source of information. We're able to gather LiDAR and point cloud data, real time, big data, unstructured data, vector, imagery, multidimensional data, 3D, CAD and BIM, so on and so forth, as everything happens somewhere. So it's key for the engineering firms, for the architecture firms to start using and taking advantage of all of those geographic informations that we have available, and that can make our projects more precise and save budget and save time during the design, during the conception of a project, and also during the construction itself and the delivery of the project. And as an example, I have some demos here that I would like to share with you, and that will highlight how this kind of integration works. Just give me a second. And this is a very own example of ours, and this regards the building E. Our headquarters is in California, close to Los Angeles, and we wanted to build a new building for the technical support and for the professional services staff. And nothing better than using our own tools to evaluate where and how to construct this new building. Our campus is beautifully designed and is inspired by some nature shapes, and everything has a connection with each other. So all of the buildings, they have a reason per se. And the first thing that we did was to build this digital twin, let's call it that way. We put all of the buildings in 3D on a map so we can have a better view and a broader understanding of what was around us. And then we could potentially evaluate where to build this new building. Would it be here in this corner or in this parking lot or in this other parking lot? So it turned out that the city was building a new metro station just here. So we decided to take advantage of the fact and build our new building close to this new metro station. So we would be the very first thing that people who would be coming to our city would see. They would see Esri, they would see our new building, which of course increases the responsibility of building something beautiful and building something efficient and also building something sustainable. So after doing and running some analysis, we decided the best place to build. And as you can see here, we have this example where we started gathering CAD engineering information and GIS information. So I have here in yellow the footprint of what would be in the future the building E. And the very first thing I did was add some layers, some geospatial layers that would allow me to have a better understanding of what's happening in there and how I could better take advantage of all the facilities and all of the utilities that I had there. So it's very common for AEC firms just start out of scratch, out of a blank screen, as I said. So here I added all of the utilities information, so I can click on the red line and I can see the informations regarding the gas. The yellow line, I can see the information about the electricity. In blue, the information is about the pipes and the manholes and whatever. And I can do a better design and I can do a better building, already taking into consideration all of these factors. And I can also add other layers and other different sources of information that would help me doing a better decision. So besides those informations that I have shown you, that I have just shown you, I can also add points of interest and get to know where the schools are, where the parks are, how are the zones, how are even the flood zones, as my constructions have to be more resilient. So if I add the zoning information, I can check if I am building it accordingly to the municipality's plan, and so on and so forth. And after that, this was the draft of how the building would be. As you guys can see, it's a very, very beautiful building. And we have used drones technology throughout the whole process. So we could monitor how the construction was evolving. And as you can see here, this was during the construction. You can see some trucks, you can see some piles, you can see some rocks. And this is after building the building E. We have some solar panels on the roof, and we have this open space here. And we took into consideration the sun position so we could better take advantage of the sunlight, as you can see, this open space right here. And it's something really valuable. And we are integrating imagery, drones, and CAD in the geospatial environment. And of course, we can generate 3D products that would give me a better and broader understanding of the construction. Just give me a second. As you can see here. And besides that, it's so interesting to show this very realistic model right here. And this is the BIM file. And for those who are not familiar with BIM, it's called to be the evolution of CAD. So in the very beginning, I used to draw my projects on a paper. And then I had the very first digital transformation, the very first wave. And then I started using CAD so I could do digital drawings. And now I have BIM, which is the new evolution of engineering. And when I'm working with BIM, I'm working with generally 3D data. And the main difference is that I have attributes, such as in GIS. So when I'm drawing a wall, I can have all of the attributes related to that wall, the number of bricks, for example. So it's different. When I was drawing in CAD, I just draw a line or a polyline, and I named it as a wall or as a fence or as whatever I wanted to. But in the end, it was just a line. But now I have the attributes and I can classify them in families, such as the layers, different layers that we have in GIS, and I have the different disciplines. I have the electric discipline, the structural, the pipes, so they can all come together in a single environment. So it's easy for me to overlap them and identify eventual problems. And as you can see here, this is the BIM file that comes from Revit and Autodesk software. And if I click on the roof, I have all of the information about the roof, the material, the family type, etc. And I'm consuming the BIM data directly on GIS in a very easy way. I can zoom in. I can see the solar panels that I had mentioned. I can see that open space here. And I could even navigate and get into some room and see the drawers, the lockers, the windows, or whatever. And I'm not limited only to the view from above, but I'm also able to see everything that is underground. So remember when I have just shown that 2D map with the lines representing the utilities? Now I can see them underground, and I can click on them and see their attributes. So I also have the pipes, the electrical cables and whatever. And I also have the foundation of the construction in 3D. So I'm making it easier for different teams to access and understand what's happening in this construction site. And of course, I can do integrations with drones, with GIS, with CAD, and also with project project management softwares such as Microsoft Project or Primavera. So I can overlap this information and I can see how the construction was in 2020 in this given date, and I can see whether it was late or not, and I can go back in time and see exactly how the construction was in a given period of time, and I can add the BIM data on top of this, and I can monitor the construction itself. So it's a very cool example that shows us the integration of different sources of information, but I have also other examples that I wanted to share with you guys. Just give me a second. And I can briefly show you where it all came from. Here I have AutoCAD. I think that most of you should be familiar with it. It's one of the mostly used tools in the engineering side. And we have developed a tool called ArcGIS for AutoCAD. It's a connector that allow me to add all of the geospatial information directly to the engineering software. So I don't have to be a GIS specialist to start adding geospatial information. So rather than just start drawing or doing my project, I can add a coordinate system. I can add a base map as I'm just doing it, and I can also add information. I can add data, and I can add data from my own organization. So if I use ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise to store information, I can just sign in and that add this kind of information. Or I can search it in the Living Atlas of the World, which is the biggest geospatial library. And I can just search for any kind of information. So an example, Jamaica. And I have this example, Jamaica parish boundaries. I can add it to the map. Just let me do my login here real quick. Just a second. And I know that AEC is growing in Jamaica as the economy there is very much based in tourism. So there is always a need of building new facilities, new hotels, and also mining is strong in Jamaica, right? So it takes a lot of engineering process. So it's two sectors that I am aware of that are demanding a lot of this kind of integration. So as you can see here, I have added this information directly from my geospatial database to a CAD. So again, I don't have to be a GIS specialist to do this. Imagine if I'm building a bridge or a new highway or a road or whatever, I can add all of the geospatial information that I need in order to make a better decision, to make better planning, to make better decisions, as I said. So if I needed to do any changes or any updates, I could just, draw it. And when I'm done, I can literally just synchronize and share it to ArcGIS. So everyone who is working on the GIS side would be able to see all of the changes and updates that I have just made. And if they update anything on their side, they can just refresh it, and then I'll be able to see it here on the CAD side. It's truly a game changer for us in general. Because before this, it used to be so hard because you had to download the file and share the file and then convert the file. And then when you were working with some kind of information, it was not up to date and it would lead us to those bad numbers that Hopeton was showing. So by doing this, I'm connecting to the information directly where it resides, and I'm connecting to the information as a service. So it guarantees that I'm always going to be working with the most up-to-date information. It's huge, guys. And besides that, on the ArcGIS side, just let me share it here how it works. Of course, I can still add some data following the traditional way. I can add data and browse it, or I can establish a BIM cloud connection. So just for the sake of the information, I can add all of the CAD and BIM data and files without doing any further conversion. We are already ready for that. But if I want to go beyond, I can establish a new BIM cloud connection. Let's call it Kingston. And then I can connect directly to the Autodesk cloud. And I will be able to access all of the engineering files that are stored in that cloud. as a service, such as I did previously on the CAD. I'm gonna do the exact same thing here, and then I'm gonna be able to track this information and make sure that I'm working with the most up-to-date information as well, and run all of the analysis that I might be interested in. Just let me add here real quick. I can just drag and drop, and then I'm going to be able to see a Revit file, engineering file directly on the GIS environment. And again, it's accessing the file where it lives. So in case there is any update to the file, I'll be able to see it. It is drawing this facility as I have mentioned, and there you guys can see. This is a BIM entity added directly to ArcGIS in a very, very easy way. So far, so good. Hopton, I have a few more examples to show. Okay, I have 2 or 3 more examples that I wanted to share with you guys. This one is from England, and it shows that integration with project management softwares, as I said. So I'm able to connect with Oracle or Microsoft project, and then all of the changes that the project manager does is going to be reflected on the GIS side, and vice versa, because it's also hard for us to work with this kind of worlds, as they are different words as well. The project managers, they generally work with Excel and they don't have a geospatial vision. But imagine if we are building a railroad, and every single day another 500 meters of railroad is built. How would I inform the project managers, and how would them keep track of what's being built? There's nothing better than integrate the project management softwares and GIS. So as is being built, the GIS is informing the project managers, and then they are re-informing the GIS analysts so they can keep track of the construction of this railroad or of a power line or whatever. And then we can see all of the phases that we are currently in. We have this another example here this one is from France. And this is related to sustainability. So I have a lot of indicators that show me how many water is being consumed in this proposed work, how many energy, the consumption of energy, the consumption of water, and how this could be impacting climate change as well. So again, connecting different sources of information. And I remembered, and I recall that Hopton said that there was someone from Trinidad and Tobago, and I know that in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lot of oil and gas, and this is an example of the oil and gas industry. So here I'm integrating real-time data, 3D data, and engineering data in a way that I can monitor my operations, and I can also assure the safety of my field workers. I have here integration with SCADA systems, and I can keep track of everything that's going on and on the site. So I have the number of wells, I have the real-time alerts, and I can click here and I can see exactly what's going on. So there is a pump here that's reaching a high temperature, and I can take action. I can see who is the closest person that could support me with this issue right here. So I can track the worker's location, and I can assign them a task in order to see what's going on there. And here I have all of the the other elements of this facility. So again, I'm integrating sensors, real-time data, GIS, and also engineering files that allow me to have a very good vision. So it's a very good for a manager to take a look at it and understand in a very comprehensive way what's happening there, what's going on. Again, a problem with this equipment. It generated me an alert, so I can send someone to see what's going on there. And as I said, I can keep track of the employees and the manager's location, and I can send them an alert so they can take care of it. Right? It's what we call a digital twin. It's a very nice example. And as a last example that I want to share, just give me a minute. Just getting the example ready.
All right. So while you get the
And here-
example ready, Vinny,
Yeah,
please
I already have it.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
please go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, please feel free to put your questions in the question and answer section, and we'll answer the questions after. Go ahead, Vinny.
Perfect. Thanks, Hopton. Yeah, this is an example from China, and that I'm also monitoring real-time conditions on a construction site, so I can see how many people are working in confined space or are working at height, which would require me a special improvement and a special training for these employees. I can monitor the logistics on the site, so I can see how many trucks are in operation, how many loaded dump truck. I can see the buses that are taking personnel, if they're approaching or not. I can monitor the structure. I have the tilt meter data. Also integrations with cameras that help me to monitor the traffic conditions, and also the integration with project status. And I can see how much percent are of the project is completed or ongoing or upcoming. And also I have this other tab here that show me environmental conditions, so I can see the air quality index. I can see, oops, just a second. Yeah, sorry for that. So on this other tab right here, I can see the environmental conditions. So I can see the temperature on site, the current temperature chart, all of the traffic impacts, the average traffic speed, as sometimes I have to close some roads, some streets in order to keep on with my construction. So it's a very, very good example of how engineering can take advantage of all of the different sources of information, all of the different sensors that I have, and how ArcGIS can put everything together on a very same place where they can take a look, make decisions, share the information in a very seamless way. And here I can monitor all of the personnel. So these yellow dots here, they represent people working on site, and I also have these other icons here showing the equipment, the trucks, and everything that is going on there on the field. So some of the tools that I have used during this presentation, as I already mentioned, they regards to the product's interoperability that we have with Autodesk. If you're not working with Autodesk, it's not a problem. We are still an open platform. But if you are working with Autodesk, it makes things easier, as we have those connectors that I have shown. So you don't have to do any data conversion anymore. You just say where the file is starting, and we can connect directly, and then we can import it to GIS and vice versa if you are working on the CAD environment. So it's something really, really big, this alliance that we have with Autodesk. Rather than just a partnership, we have an alliance with Autodesk. And with that, when we are able to integrate the different environments, we can bring improvements to the workflow, and then we can minimize information loss, and that will bring a huge return of investment. So it's not just me saying that, but there are some studies that show the benefits of integrating geospatial and engineering information. This is a study from the Geospatial World magazine that shows that either small projects or large projects, they benefit from this kind of integration. So I can save almost 30% of design time in large projects, in either vertical or linear projects, and also almost more than 22% on small projects. Imagine I can save around 45 days in small projects and almost 90 days in large projects. It means 3 months. It's a lot. And last but not least, and for most of you the most important in terms of money and budget, I can save up to 6% in small projects and more than 13% in large projects, just by integrating information and making sure that everyone is accessing the very same information. Because some studies also show that almost 1/3 of the time of a civil engineer or of an architect is consumed by checking files and make sure that they are working with the right information. So with that, I'm gonna hand it back to my friend Hopton, and I want to leave you guys with this resource where you can access and learn more about GIS and integration, learn GeoBIM, and also other technical ebooks that we have that can help you navigate through this brand new world of integrating GIS, BIM, geospatial information, and engineering that I'm pretty sure that can benefit all of you, not only for AEC firms, but if you think even governments and other companies, they do have engineering departments, so it can benefit for your own company, even though it's not a engineering company per se. So I'd like to thank you for your attention, and with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Hopton. Hopton.
Wow, thank you very much, Vinny. Wonderful presentation. Do you think it was a wonderful presentation? You can just drop that in the poll. Do you think it is helpful? Do you like what you saw today? Let me see how many of you like what Vinny has just presented. And while you do that one, the second question is, how do you see using this information to transform the way you do things? So surely we now understand better how GIS transform the AEC projects, and A by AEC would mean the architecture, engineering, and construction. And it transforms projects by interconnecting workflows, improving efficiencies, and enabling detailed spatial analysis. This way, we save billions of dollars in our construction. And with our poll is out, so 100%, yes, 100% like what they saw.
Thanks, you
Wonderful.
guys are so kind.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And how do you see using the information in your everyday work? Interestingly, you know, Vinny, even though it's GIS for architecture, engineering, construction, but what we have found is that most, if not all sectors, have some amount of architecture, engineering, and construction. So it's really relevant to the general organization of people on a whole, even if they're building their personal buildings. The whole idea of this presentation is to see how we can save money by using technology. All right, so you can enter. How do you see yourself using this information in the poll? And while we wait for persons to enter that information, you made reference to a number of different areas. What about transportation planning, Vinny? You know, what kind of analysis can GIS enable in transportation planning?
Yeah. So you can take into consideration the amount of population. So you can do a better planning on the size of the road or the highway, and you can take into consideration all of the places that you'd have to close. I mean, a street in order to do a new pavement or whatever. So there are also a lot of possibilities in terms of roads and highways and transportation as well, or to monitor the construction of a new port or a new railroad. It's all interconnected.
Okay, great. One of the things is that we see a lot of disaster happening around us, especially in the Caribbean, hurricane, you name it. How does this help with disaster preparedness in AEC?
Yeah, it can happen. It can help before, during, and after. Because if you have it mapped beforehand, it's gonna be easier for you to do inspections during and after the event. And if you got a good planning, it's gonna be easier for you to rebuild or even to build more resilient constructions.
Okay, great, great. I'm seeing some synergy between, you know, Esri and Autodesk. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Sorry, it cut off a little bit.
Yes, I'm seeing some synergy based on your presentation with Esri and Autodesk in terms of the AutoCAD connectors and so on. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have an alliance with Autodesk, and what does it mean? We have a lot of partners that we do business with, but we have some very special ones which call and they're considered as allies, so we have an alliance with them. So it means that we really sit together with them and we do roadmap and we do build products together, such as GeoBIM, for example. So it means that we have a greater alignment and that our products are very much interconnected. So yeah, we have a very deep and solid partnership and alliance with Autodesk since 2017.
Okay, and that has made life much better and easier. I remember back in the days when we did a lot of AutoCAD work and trying to get it back into ArcGIS. You know, it was a challenge, but now it is way easier.
Absolutely.
I know we have some questions in the question and answer section.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna ask Kamisia. Kamisia, you can go ahead and ask those questions that were placed in the chat.
So hello again, everyone. So before I begin, I'm just encouraging you guys that while these questions are answered, if they inspire anything, you can just put those questions either in the chat or using the question feature. So the first question that I have is from an anonymous attendee. I guess first no need to be shy, we don't bite. But this person's asked, can you connect to the portal instead of going on ArcGIS Online?
Thank you for your question, and yes, the answer is yes. You can use portal/enterprise instead of a Go, instead of ArcGIS Online.
Okay, so our second question comes from Jason Keene, and he asks, when will Spatial Innovision provide training to learn the integration of AEC and GIS? I think this one is for you, Holton.
Yes, I do. So indeed, we have, as you see, on the resource, quite a lot of learning material, which we can actually provide training for many different areas in GIS. So please get in touch with us. We do have training courses, and most of our training courses are done based on demand. So once you send your request, then we will satisfy that requirement that you have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Now from Roberto Lynn. He asked, is there the ability to integrate augmented reality into the work?
Yeah, thanks, Roberto, for your question. And the answer is yes. We do have some products that would be out of the box or on the shelf, as you if you will, that already make it easier for you to integrate with augmented reality or virtual reality. And we also have our developer tools, our SDKs, which would allow you to customize and personalize your own augmented reality app or vision. But yeah, it's perfectly possible, and it's a very, very nice question that would allow you to go to the field and do inspections and point yourself onto to the ground or to whatever you are pointing to, and see all of the features and overlap with the information that you have on your cell phone. So yeah, it's possible.
Okay, thank you so much, Vinny. Just before we close off, does anyone have any more questions? Anything you'd like us to clear up before we end this session today? Okay, so that brings us to the end of another insightful session of the Spatial Webinar Series. A huge thank you to Hopeton and Vinny for joining us and for sharing their knowledge and expertise on how GIS is revolutionizing the AEC industry. Your insights on BIM integration, location intelligence, and real-world applications of GIS in infrastructure management have provided valuable takeaways for our audience today. We hope this session has given you guys a clearer understanding of how GIS can enhance collaboration, streamline workflows, and support smarter decision-making throughout the project lifecycle, from conceptual planning to asset management. At Spatial, we're committed to empowering professionals with the right geospatial tools and insights to drive efficiency, cost effectiveness, and sustainability in their projects. If you have any further questions or want to explore GIS solutions tailored to your needs, or would like a deeper dive into any of today's topics, don't hesitate to reach out to us. On behalf of Spatial Vision, I'm Camisia Blackwood. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time, your engagement, and your commitment to leveraging GIS for smarter, more innovative AEC solutions. Until next time, take care and keep exploring the power of GIS.